Hi, this is Steve Schmidt, Web Advisor and Team Leader here at Effect. And what we're going to do in this video is bring you through all the major website traffic sources and make the pros and cons clear so that you can narrow down what you think is best to focus on for your situation. And what we're about to go over is one of the tools that is contained inside of our Effective Website Toolkit. So if you're interested in getting the whole kit, which has a bunch of other tools and good stuff in it, just like this one, just go to effectwebagency.com/kit. So the way that we've broken down the main website traffic sources is there's about 9 of them, and we'll start from the top here. So we've got our traffic sources, we've got the pros and the cons. So organic search, this would be, the regular Google or Yahoo or Bing or some other search engines listings. It's the stuff that always shows up on the left. It's the regular stuff. It's not the ads. And that's called organic. And the reason they call it organic, or sometimes they call it natural, is because the stuff is ranked and listed there depending on, for example, Google's ranking computer goes out and becomes aware of all the content, figures out how it's going to catalog it, and then when somebody searches for something like trees, it's going to pull out, well, okay, so what's the most relevant stuff to trees, and out of those things that are relevant, what are the websites that seem to be the most important to people? And so basically it pulls out and ranks them that way. So that is the organic search. The pros of the organic search is that you typically get a higher rate of visitors converting, which means when somebody clicks on your listing and comes to your website from a organic search listing like on Google, generally they're more likely to actually become a contact or lead or buy something from you or do something important on your website. People generally trust or have a high level of trust with the referrals that search engines give them, and so they tend to hang around sites on longer and do stuff. More so than ads or other ways of getting somebody to a website. Another pro here is sometimes you can get a quick wins in terms of boosting your ranking just by optimizing the pages on your site. And optimizing is a loosely used term, and there's really, I would say there's 2 parts of it. The first part is really where the optimizing term comes from, and that is optimizing your website pages so that Google knows clearly what they are about. That's basically what that is. The second part is the ongoing work of publishing new, good, unique content people want and getting more links to your site from other important sites. So what I'm talking about here with optimizing is the first part. These are things like, if once you decide on the keywords that you want people to find you for, those you should choose a page on your site to match up with each of those keywords. So if one page is all about trees and trees is your keyword, then that tree page is going to have the word trees in the title, in the heading, in the content, and it's going to have other pages on your site linked to that page using the word trees and stuff like that. So that's basically what I mean by optimizing pages for Google. You're just making it super clear that what each page on your site is about so that you can influence Google or another search engine to rank you for what you want to be ranked for. So yeah, sometimes you can have quick wins. We just did that with a website that's been around for 10 years, and they've got a dealer base, and they went from the bottom of the first page of Google because they already have a good reputation, so they were showing up at the bottom of the first page of Google for a keyword that got, it just gets thousands of visitors a month. And we did some on-site optimization, and it brought them to the top half of the first page of Google. Depending on where you look, it could be position 5 or position 2. So you can oftentimes get quick wins just by being detail-oriented and optimizing your site. or find somebody who is detail oriented to do that. But you can get a quick win there depending on what your site is like now and your competition. So another pro of organic search is that your results grow over time if you stick with it. And what I mean with stick with it is that second part of optimization, which is producing more good content people want, that's unique. And, through that content and publishing and PR and other ways, get links from other important websites on the internet to you in their articles. And that's going to grow the results over time. And the limit on results is really just how many people are searching for that thing that you are trying to be ranked for. And sometimes there's a lot of people searching for some keywords, and for other keywords there's really not much. So anyways, before you get into any organic search, do your keyword research, know what you want to be ranked for, and use a tool like Google Keyword Planner to get a gist of, well, how many people are really searching for these things before you invest into it. I have seen companies, they'll go and optimize their site and they'll do all this stuff and spend a bunch of money, but they never did their keyword research. I also talked to another company. I said, well, what you said, it sounds like he told me he's working with another web company to get him ranked in Google. And I asked him, well, what are you ranking? What do you want to be ranked for? Well, I don't know. We just want to be ranked high. They didn't actually even define keywords. So, who knows where they're going to end up. So be intentional about the keywords. And once you know if there is a good opportunity, then you can choose to proceed with actually doing the work to get ranked. Another pro is you're not paying per visitor. So in the beginning, search engine optimization tends to be more expensive because you're getting the ball rolling, you're getting content made, you're doing that one-time optimization thing into your site. And over time, as it builds, you may have the same budget put into search engine optimization each month, but the results kind of get compounded. And again, it all goes back to how many people are searching for what you're trying to rank for. And if you haven't hit that ceiling yet each month and you're still writing more content that people do like and you're getting more links and stuff, you're going to get more and more traffic over time. So you can get a pretty big bang for the buck if you stick with it and if there is enough opportunity for you. That's a key question. The cons, and part of this is it takes a lot of time to build reputation. And if your competition is tough and they're smart with search engines, it's going to just mean more work for you, and you'll have to be tougher and write better stuff, and it's just going to be more work, but it still may be worth it. Again, just size it up before you start. And it definitely takes time and effort to think of good content, to write the content, get it published and distribute the content, and just stay up to date with what Google is doing. It can be very difficult to get linked from other great sites unless you have content or a tool or something on your site that's really valuable or really helpful for people. So my advice is focus on producing something that your audiences will find valuable or are likely to find really valuable and unique. Focus on good content, and a lot of the rest of this stuff just happens because of that. If you're really not sure and feel like this whole search engine thing is pretty cloudy, what I would like to recommend, encourage you to do is check out this article. It's almost more of a kind of a walkthrough. It's kind of like a class on, okay, what is this whole thing about Google and how do I influence my Google rankings? Because by the way, we keep talking about Google because it's by far the biggest. So if you do something for Google, you basically help your rankings in other search engines anyway. So this article, starts out with getting into, you're going to understand clearly how Google decides to rank. You'll know what's necessary to do the search engine optimization yourself. And then you need to be totally ready for the next lesson, because there's a lesson after this about getting into those keywords, which, like I mentioned, know what your keywords are before you even invest any further. And so, yeah, go through this. It talks about what is SEO, search engine optimization, what should you expect from your rankings, how do search engines work, and all this stuff. It's really helpful. I'll include the link to this further down on this page. Okay, let's get back to our next one here, remarketing. Remarketing is, have you ever gone to a site and almost bought something or investigated a service or a product, and then you all of a sudden start seeing that service or product in a banner ad, following you around the internet? That's remarketing. So what's neat about it is it's more effective than advertising to new people, because you're only showing these ads to people that have already been to your site or been to a certain page on your site, or even taken a certain action on your site. You can decide how specific you want to get with that. So it's people that have already expressed an interest and were interested enough to see what you were about at one point in time. The return on investment is easy to measure. It's a pretty low cost because you're only advertising to that much smaller group of people, and you tend to get more of them coming back to your site and taking an action than you do advertising to a big group of brand new fresh people. So the cons here is, it is a smaller amount of traffic depending how big your list of people is, and over time this list of people grows. So the more people that get to a certain spot on your website will get onto that list, and so your list continues to grow, and then over the months you're actually remarketing to more and more people. So it takes time to build that big list, but it is very inexpensive usually, and it's, in my opinion, if your product or service feels like it's a type of thing where somebody needs to be reminded of it and they are likely to come back later, then I would definitely recommend that you try this out for probably 3 to 6 months and measure your return on investment. If you'd like to know more about remarketing, we also have a blog post about this. It sizes that up, and it talks about the different remarketing companies and why it works, and gets into more detail on things. I'll include that link down below also. Okay, let's talk about Google AdWords. These are the little text ads that show up on the search engine. So here's an example. If I search for RV dealer, you'll see that we have some ads that show up here at the top. Those are AdWords ads, and some that show up over here on the side. Now, depending on what you search for, you may or may not see ones at the top, or you may or may not see ones at the side, or you may not see any. It just depends on how many advertisers there are that are bidding on any given key phrase. And so what's really neat about this is you can turn on traffic like a faucet, as long as there are people searching for whatever keyword that you are targeting, of course. So again, some keywords, lots of traffic, all the way down to the other end of the spectrum, where other keywords, sometimes never, maybe once a year. So it's worth looking into, okay, how many people are searching for these things? And I would be a little careful with using the Google Keyword Planner tool when considering AdWords, because it's known to be a bit off when it talks about how much you should spend in AdWords or how many clicks you think you should get. I would recommend having a professional who does nothing but AdWords and has been doing it for a long time look over that, because a lot of that needs to be taken with a grain of salt. There really may not be as much as Google says there is in terms of traffic, and you may not need to spend as much as Google's saying, or sometimes you'd have to spend a lot more to really get somewhere. So just have a human being who knows what they're doing review that with you. That's my recommendation. So ROI is also very easy to measure, because inside of the Google AdWords little control panel, you can see by the ad, you can see by the keywords or by the group of this stuff, how many people click, what you spent on the click, and then if you set up a conversion goal, like submitting a form or reaching a certain point in the checkout or completely checking out, it will tell you again, by keyword or ad or group of those things, how many people actually completed the goal. So you'll know which keywords bring people that reach out to you or do business with you. And that's how you can optimize, okay, which keywords are worth more to me than others, and which ones do I want to spend money on. And so over time, you can really optimize this thing and get it to the point where it's in its sweet spot, and it's a traffic generating machine that has been tuned. The other neat thing about AdWords is it can grow your list of subscribers to remarket to. So it's a good way to kickstart building up your remarketing list, because anybody who goes to your site, to a certain portion of your site that you choose, will then get on your remarketing list, and the remarketing service like AdRoll will automatically start showing them, advertisements and your banners and stuff. So the con with AdWords, I would say the biggest thing is it can cost more per lead than many of these other methods. It really just depends. Sometimes it doesn't. But because all really somebody has to do to get on top is just offer Google more money for a given keyword, the bid prices, I should say the cost per clicks, can go up pretty quick and reach a point where sometimes you may decide, you know what, now it's up to $8 a click for this keyword. Maybe this one isn't worth it so much anymore. Let's focus on some other ones. So anyways, you just have to watch your numbers, and it's easy to see your numbers. They're crystal clear when it comes to ROI, which is one of the reasons I really like this more than, well, I don't like it more than this, but I do like the fact that you can measure ROI, whereas up here it's much more difficult to measure ROI because you invest so much over a good amount of time, and then you don't really get to track ROI until your organic rankings are mature. So, okay, let's go down to the next thing. Oh, and I almost forgot, we do have an article about Google AdWords and the success factors, stuff you need to know, even if you have somebody else do it for you. And I would recommend doing that because it's really easy to waste money in AdWords if you're not familiar with it. If you want to totally own it and spend a bunch of time on it, by all means get into it. But if you really don't want to become an AdWords expert, my advice is to let somebody do that has that strength, and you focus on your strengths. So this tells you about all the important aspects, good and bad ads and stuff like this. I'll put a link to this one at the bottom. Okay, so writing share-worthy blog and social media posts. Share-worthy means that this is stuff your audience or your audiences finds valuable and interesting and something that they would want to show somebody else that they care about or want to impress. So if you put out stuff that's just kind of for the sake of building your ranking or for the sake of having something on Facebook, it's really not going to qualify. And while it may help you a little bit with your ranking, the thing is Google understands whether or not people like content by, how long they stay on the page before they bounce back to Google, or how many links are pointing to that piece of content, that web page. So it's got a lot of indicators to know whether or not a piece of content is any good. So I would really only recommend you write anything, and if it is something you think is good and has a purpose and is something your audiences want and would find share-worthy. So if you do write something good that helps them that they want, you'll see bursts of traffic when you publish this stuff. Usually for a few days after, maybe, here and there for a few weeks after. Sometimes you'll publish something that's good, and then a few months later or even a year later, it could get picked up by another magazine-type website that is an authority, and then all of a sudden, because they liked what you wrote and just happened to find it a year later, your traffic could go up, at that point in time. So if you write good stuff, chances are you're going to be growing your traffic over time, and eventually it'll pay off. In the beginning, it's kind of like organic search, where you've got to invest into it before it pays you back. So yeah, you can get residual traffic for years. We've got articles we wrote many years ago in the lifetime of our business, which has been around for 10 years, that continues to bring us traffic because it's still relevant, it's still valuable that in the eyes of the people looking at it. So, when somebody shares this, it grows your audience because they're passing it along to somebody else that they think may also find it useful. And there's a chance that other person might even share it or subscribe to something on your website, or potentially even choose to do business with you at some point. So that's another reason to make it share-worthy. And if you know what you're talking about and you really care about your audience and you're really helping them because you're focusing on giving them stuff they actually want, that's going to build trust with them just naturally and positions you as an expert in your field. So what are the cons of this? The cons are it takes a lot of time, it takes creative thought, and I don't think you have to be a creative person to do that. If you think you're not creative, you really are. It's just in a different way. But what I would advise is if you feel like, I don't really enjoy doing that stuff, find someone who enjoys writing content and doing this kind of content management and producing, and someone who's gung-ho about it and experienced with it, and have them lead it, where they interview you or people on your team and they come up with ideas and you can make decisions and just fill them in on the blanks. Have somebody else run with it who has this as their strength. And the other thing is response can be hit or miss. You may think you got something really awesome, put it out there, and it might just not go very far with people. At the very least, you've learned, especially if you see a trend, if you keep talking about the same thing you think is great but other people don't, then you'll learn from it, you'll know what not to spend your time writing on, and you'll just move on. So that's an excellent way, and it's oftentimes a way that a organization can affect their traffic and build trust with their audience without having to pay an outside party, as long as you have somebody in-house that has this kind of thing as a strength. Okay, let's go down to the next one, delivering your posts and content through email marketing. The pros are you can stay in touch with your audience, so you're in front of them, at some point when they're ready to take an action with you, like consider doing this or buying that. Sometimes, a lot of people like to grab onto a social media channel. It depends on your audience. Maybe you've got an audience that wants to hear from you via Twitter. Maybe your audience is still mostly email. Email still works well as long as it's stuff that those people want to get. Otherwise, you're just kind of sabotaging yourself. The cons, there's some additional costs for having a contact database and maintaining it. You should probably really have a contact database anyways for other reasons. And then managing, getting the email sent and writing a little bit inside of the email. So I want to show you the one that we send out. What we try to do is pack this thing with tools and practical insights so somebody can read this and take away these insights to take steps forward, to actually move them forward rather than just sort of making them aware of something or saying that this is kind of the good way to do it, but not giving enough specificity to actually empower them to go and take an action about it. So we want people to get value out of this by it being practical. So here's what ours look like. Each one has a theme. This one continues on with search engine optimization stuff. First thing is our SEO map. Anybody can understand the steps in here and use it to guide them through doing that. They can go download it. This is a video that tells people it's a detailed walkthrough on choosing the right keywords. If you guys are interested in Adwords or search engines, I would definitely recommend that you go and check that one out. And things not to do with search engine optimization. So all very practical. You'll see how short the text is. It's only enough for them to decide if they're interested to click to see more or not. That's all it needs to be. If you have a newsletter or an email you send to people with a novel in it, chances are they're going to delete it, or even if they have good intentions to read it later, most people are not. So just work with the behavior patterns, not against them. Okay, let's talk about local listings. These are your listings on Google Maps, on the Bing Maps, there's all kinds of these map services that are on your phone or whatever, or even GPS and stuff. So what's neat about local listings is if you have a location that you want people to come to, or if you want to give a little boost to your Google rankings, even if you're a manufacturer, you can still set up your local listings and that will give you that boost, or it will give you more foot traffic and more traffic to your site. And what's really neat about it is it's mostly a one-time thing to set these things up. If you know what you're doing and can run through it and have a process for doing it like we do, it basically takes about 8 to 10 hours, plus setting up all the miscellaneous listings. If you don't know what you're doing and you're kind of getting into it from scratch, it's probably going to take you a lot more. And then to set up all the little odds and ends listings, it probably just wouldn't happen. We use a service for that sets up 60 listings, actual humans that do it. You really can't beat it for the cost. It's a pass-through cost, and we do it for people. But anyways, local listings, so if you want more traffic to your location or a boost in your search engine ranking, it's really a no-brainer since it's mostly a one-time cost. It's pretty inexpensive to set up, and you can get free traffic basically forevermore as long as you're still in business and those listings haven't been deleted for some reason. The cons are the amount of traffic depends on the size of the local population. So if we're based in Elkhart, we will get the amount of traffic proportional to how many people in Elkhart are searching for what we do. If you're in Chicago, and you're going to get a lot more traffic through the same amount of work than we would get, but you're also probably going to have more competition too. So here's an example of what a local listing can look like. Again, what you're seeing here are all these Adwords ads here and then along the side. And down here, I'm going to scroll, you'll see the map, which is part of the local listings. And you can click that to, let's go ahead and click it. Okay, so you'll start to see all the different web places around because we searched for web design in Elkhart, Indiana. Some people search by the map. I think most people still tend to go down to this list, which you can tell is from the map, local listings, because it has the little map pins next to it. And you've got the people here that are the web guys in Elkhart. By the way, I recommend that you take advantage of having real customers rate you, because it does make you stand out and does affect your ranking. We are the only company on here that has any ratings, and they're all 5-star. So I think that's helped us out a bit. Okay, let's move on here. The next one, custom web marketing programs for your dealers. This is one you have to get innovative and creative on. For example, if you've got a whole bunch of dealers, and you want, they may not be doing much, or they really don't want to get into web stuff or don't know how to, you can spearhead that by creating some kind of campaign for them. So, for example, you may decide that you'll select a few of your top dealers to try this out on. You may put together a Google AdWords campaign for bringing traffic to individual dealers. Maybe you pick 3 dealers and you put together this campaign and you run it for a few months. And if it works, and of course you would only want to pick dealers that were proactive and responsive and gung-ho about it, they can report back to you how their sales have changed based upon that. And if it works, You can make improvements upon it and then roll it out to another set of dealers. Make sure it works, roll it out to more dealers. And you could work it any way you want with some kind of cooperative funding between you and your dealer, or maybe you do this for your select dealers or whatever. So in the end, you can help dealers get more leads and influence that, and roll it out to others once you've worked out the strategy that works. The cons are, there's always initial test or cost to test something out and shape it into a working strategy. So we always have that, but the good thing about if you did this through the Adwords channel is you're going to know exactly what your ROI is. So the risk really is pretty minimal. If it doesn't work, stop it. If it might kind of work, but we don't really know, it kind of isn't so far, make some major changes to it, test it again. So at any rate, you can take sure steps and step out a web marketing program for your dealers, and it may be one of the biggest things you've ever done for them to influence their sales. And also perhaps a reason to stick with you rather than a competitor. Okay, let's get down to Facebook ads. It's sort of like AdWords. AdWords is good for people taking serious steps with you, like becoming a contact or lead, submitting forms, buying stuff off your site. Facebook ads, unless you're kind of into clothing or something, are really more for just getting attention and awareness to your Facebook page, and sometimes attention and awareness to your website. So please remember that. If you turn on Facebook ads and you spend a bunch of money, it's probably not really going to do much for you if you want people to submit a form on your site or buy something from you. It's just more for awareness. And a proper next step is to get them to your Facebook page, as long as Facebook pages make sense for your audience. It would not for my audience. Get them there and then get them to subscribe to you or take action on a contest, or it's more like an invitation to take another small action short of doing, before doing business with you. So what's really neat about it is you can show the ads you make to specific target audiences by selecting demographics that you can't do really with anything else. And that's because Facebook has much more information on each person, whereas something like Google AdWords is more limited because it basically knows what keywords they searched for. It doesn't know how old they are or what they like to do and things like that. So the cons of Facebook ads is, yes, the traffic conversion rate, so getting people to your website, is very low unless you've got something that's just super unique and interesting. And the conversion rate on your site, like I said, is also very low. You may get a lot of likes, but you know what? Likes are kind of like if you see somebody across the street and you wave at them, that's about what the value of a like is. It doesn't mean you want to go have lunch with them. It may not even mean you want to talk to them for a couple minutes. So just keep that in mind, what the value of Facebook like is. There's a client that we work with that spent a bunch of money in Facebook ads before we started working with them, and they continue to do that, and they've got something like 20,000 Facebook likes all build up within 9 months. It hasn't affected their e-commerce sales hardly at all. So just be aware of what the value and purpose of the Facebook ads really is. Pinterest is sort of similar. Pinterest will be more of if you put your stuff on Pinterest or ask your dealers to do it. Pinterest is really for, obviously stuff that people are interested in, stuff that's fun, stuff that's interesting, stuff they want to get into. If you're a super professional type of company, it may not make sense for you to be involved in Pinterest. If you're about decorating or hobbies or decor, it's kind of a no-brainer. So it has the potential to send lots of traffic, as long as people like what you're putting on there, of course. It's not a channel to sell people on. Like if you put up stuff that's kind of got like, it's kind of salesy or pushy, or the call to action is kind of strong, that's really not what belongs on Pinterest. Pinterest is, hey, check this out. This is pretty cool type of stuff. And that's what needs to be on there. The cons, Pinterest, it'll take payroll hours for somebody to stick it on there. You can work out, a simple process for somebody to do that. You can also have whatever you put onto your website be relayed and auto-published onto Pinterest. So that can save some time if you're already putting it on your site. The conversion rate typically is low. So if you do hit on something where you get a lot of traffic, the percentage of those people coming from Pinterest that actually take a step like fill out a form or buy something is a much lower percentage than people that would come to your site from organic search engine listings or Adwords, for example. So just be aware of that. These are people that are in the mindset of looking at things that are cool to them, not so much looking to buy or work with a company right away. It really works best with stuff that is really unique. So just keep making unique stuff that your audience cares about, and that takes care of about half the battle here. Okay, well, I hope you found that breakdown helpful and gained clarity on it. And as always, I'm offering, if you'd like, to have a free strategy session for about half hour, 45 minutes. What we do is I listen to what your vision, your goals are, help you clarify those further, identify possible steps for what you could take to get to your goals and realize your vision for the awesome site you have in mind, or for how you're going to get people to the website, and then size up those options. And so if you'd like to talk further about the different traffic sources and how that works, or what might be right for you, feel free to reach out to me. You can give us a call, or you can just go to effectwebagency.com/session and fill out, there's just 4 fields here, and we can schedule a time to talk on the phone and help you take a step to advance further and get you somewhere. Thank you very much. And if you know somebody else that could benefit from getting clarity across those ways of getting traffic to their website, please pass this on. Thank you very much. Take care.